Hi, welcome to Stretch and Release at TMMKFitness. Today we're going to be focusing on hips with a little bit of foam rolling through the quads and inner thigh. So today you'll want to grab a foam roller, but before we start I'll let everyone know that Fitnessland has started. If you've signed up for Fitnessland yet, this is worth 2 bonus points today. So feel free to email elena.wall@hfitcenter.com at the end. We'll put that in the comments afterwards, and you'll get 2 bonus points for taking class today. But as we start with your foam roller, we're going to start on quads here. And when you email Elena, make sure you tell her your favorite stretch of the video. So as you're rolling quads, you can roll both quads at the same time, or you can roll one quad. So to do one, you'll set that foam roller mostly off to the side and focus on just your right side here, or just your left. I'm going to focus on just my left for now. Most of that foam roller will be off to the side. And if that feels like a bit much for you, feel free to just do both at the same time. That'll be a little bit less pressure for you, and it'll feel a little bit more manageable. So if one leg feels like too much, feel free to just do 2. And then if one leg feels like this isn't so bad, you can always cross your other leg over, which will add more of your body weight to it. And this feels a little tough. But as you're rolling that quad, focus on bending your foot to the side, bending your foot to the other side. Allow your leg to move around a little bit. And if you even want to bend your leg up towards your butt, you'll feel that in a few different spots as well. Moving your leg around puts the quad into contact with different parts of the foam roller there. And we'll do about 30 to 60 seconds on each side. So once you finish your left, go ahead and do your right. And what you're looking for here usually is starting with big passes up and down that leg. Once you find a few spots, for me when I tilt my foot to the outside, I find a few spots just right here on the side of the quad, just barely off center, that feel a little bit tender. If you find any tender spots, you're looking to just keep pressure there. Keep it in contact. You can do some small little movements, but you're not going to do huge passes up and down if you find those tender spots. So what you're trying to do with those tender spots is slowly roll them out, kind of imagine a rolling pin. Just like you're going over cookies, gonna make some sugar cookies and stuff, trying to roll that flat and kind of get out all those little bumps. Once you finish that side, we're gonna go to your inner thigh. For that one, you'll lay this just a little bit crooked at about a 45-degree angle, and sticking your leg over, you're gonna roll the inner thigh all the way from your knee up to your hips. And that foam roller is going to be facing about the same direction as you, your leg open, and you're just rolling right here over the inner thigh. So this area has a lot of nerve fibers. It has a lot of muscles that connect there, especially right next to the knee. You're going to feel a whole lot of tenderness. We're spending about 1 minute here again. Take your time, be patient. Small movements is going to be a little bit more intense, and the more of your body weight you put on here, the more intense it's going to get too. But give yourself about 20 more seconds there on that leg. Just rolling back and forth. And if you don't happen to have a foam roller, you're doing this on a lacrosse ball or a softball, it'll be even more intense. So just know that when you're applying your body weight there. And then switch sides. Going on the other side of your leg. So you've done left side, then you've done right side. And most of our stretches today are focused on hip flexors, glutes, your hip abductors. But right now we're working on kind of the opposite side here in the adductors and a little bit into the hip flexor too. But these are a very tender spot. And a lot of times people can spend 2 or 3 minutes here and still feel that tenderness. But give yourself about 20 more seconds, just moving over there slow. For me, I'll find a lot more knots and tightness right here close to the knee. Some people will find it towards the center, but just doing what feels right for you. And again, if you feel those tender spots, just stop there. You can just leave the foam roller there, or you can do little gentle movements and try and massage that out there. But should be finishing that up, and we'll move into a couple stretches. So our final stretches today are going to be a little on the intense side. Our first couple stretches will be a little bit easier. For one of our next stretches, you'll need either a towel. I'm using a yoga strap. You can use any kind of long string. If you happen to have a string that might hold your leg pressure, that would be okay too. But a towel, a shirt, pair of pants, any of that kind of stuff should work. So my first stretch, fairly calm, just bringing your knees in towards your chest, allowing your head to come down, and feeling that stretch through your glutes, pulling your knees in towards your chest, and just relaxing back. Looks like I have Kim on here. Donnie said it feels good. So for me, that one feels good and bad at the same time. You definitely feel that tension there, but it's definitely feels really good afterwards. After you've done a little stretch there for your glutes, go ahead and tie that around your foot. You can grab that shirt, that pair of pants, whatever you want, and you'll pull that foot towards your head to make this stretch a little more intense. You can drop your bottom leg straight if you want it to be a little less intense. You can keep this one pointed up towards the sky, but you're using that towel to pull your leg close to your head, feeling that stretch in your hip flexor here if you straightened, or your hamstring. And right now, without moving your leg, try and drive your heel down. So the movement you want to try and do with your leg is this. Your leg is driving down, but your arms holding that towel, that pair of pants, is stopping it from happening. So you're stopping your leg from moving, but your leg is still pushing down. Go ahead and do that for about 3, 2, 1, and stop pushing with that leg, let it relax, and see if you can move that leg just a couple inches further. And relax. All right. Go ahead and switch sides. So starting that stretch, that wall's in the way, I can't quite straighten my leg all the way. There. Straightening that bottom leg for a little bit more intensity. Pulling this leg towards your head. Ideally, you'll feel this more with your toe pointed towards your head, your heel flexed up towards the sky. And when you're ready, go ahead and drive that heel down, making that movement, but your leg's not actually moving. You're holding it in place. And doing good. Keep that going for 3, 2, 1, and let that leg relax, hold it in place, and see if you can go 1 or 2 more inches. Good. And relax that leg a little bit. Give yourself a little break. That's a fairly intense stretch for your hamstrings. We're not doing a whole lot of hamstrings in these next few. These next few, keep your heart rate going a little bit, and there's a lot of different options and variety to them. Today we're going to do just the basic ones, but we're going to do these each for about 20 to 30 seconds. These can be done for 1 to 2 minutes if you want. So if you want to do 1 to 2 minutes with each of these, go ahead and pause it between each little break if you want. So we're going to do a dragon pose, a lizard pose, and a pigeon pose. So I'll do them all on my left leg first. Dragon pose, you'll have your knee on a mat here, your foot on the ground, and then you'll just take a big step forward. Usually when you're stepping forward and pushing your hips forward a little bit, you want to make sure this knee isn't crossing your toe. If you took a really shallow step and you lean forward, you'd feel that happening, which puts a lot of pressure on your knee. It keeps your weight pushed forward a little bit, and that weight isn't underneath you. With that foot close, I feel a stretch in my Achilles, but it's better to keep that weight centered in the hips, and you'll feel this through the hips and through the hip flexor on that leg that's back. This is called a dragon pose. As you're doing it, stomach tight, hips tight, head tall, and we're doing it about 20 to 30 seconds. If you want to do it a little bit longer, go ahead and click pause back on that corner and bring your hands down for a lizard pose. In that lizard pose, if you want to drop down to your elbows, if you feel like you have that flexibility, go ahead and try. If you have that foam roller, you can drop down to the foam roller instead. It's that exact same thing as dropping to your elbows, just not getting quite as low. But right now you're feeling that stretch through your hips, mostly on the outside leg, but you should also be feeling your hip flexors on that back leg. And you can find that the longer you hold this pose, the lower you may find that you can get. I have to force it just a little bit right now, but if I was to hold this a whole minute, I could be both elbows on the ground fairly easy by the end. Go ahead and click pause again if you want to hold this a little longer. Otherwise, dropping that knee to the front, coming into a pigeon pose. So pigeon pose, we did this one a couple weeks ago. A lot of you guys remember the goal in this is to make sure that your hands aren't holding you up. So I'm not leaning forward like this with it. I have all of my weight centered in my hips. And you may want something under your hips to give you a little bit more stability. You can use a foam roller here and just place that right there. The goal is that your hips are facing the same direction. So I'll try and do this from this side so you can see. So both of my hips are facing straight ahead. I'm not falling over to the side, letting my hips open up that way. My hips and my knee are pointing the same direction, and my hips are holding me up. So I can balance, put my hands anywhere. I'm not having to lean forward on my hands. I'm doing that for about 10 more seconds. And then switch sides. Doing that same thing on the right side. Right foot forward, left foot back. And we'll just do 20 to 30 seconds again on this side. Stomach tight, that nice big step. A couple deep breaths. I feel some sweat happening already, so sometimes I feel a little weird when I'm just stretching and feel that sweat going, but you're doing a lot of planks, a lot of tightness in this one, so this is a fairly intense stretch session for these last 3. Coming down to that lizard pose. Another option for this lizard pose is to hold a plank, lift that knee off the ground. You'll feel a little bit more tension through your core, a little bit more strength through your core, but you won't feel that same stretch in the hip flexor typically. And then you can drop those elbows down if you're ready. My right elbow doesn't quite drop. On this one of my biggest goals is to keep your hips forward. So if you can drop one elbow but not the other, what that means is you're usually allowing your body to kind of tilt to one side, pushing your hips out. So I like to try and drop both elbows if I can, and if I can't drop both, I'll grab something like the foam roller to set my elbows on. But after you finish that one, sliding your knee out and coming into that pigeon pose. Both hips straight ahead, as straight ahead as you can, placing a block under you if you need to. Grabbing that foam roller, a pillow. Feeling balanced and stable there. You're feeling this through your hips on both sides, hip flexor, glutes, hip abductors. Give it about 10 more seconds here. I'm still dripping sweat, so that's a good sign. And then when you're ready, go ahead and move out of that. And we'll do one more stretch here. This one's a little bit more active, just taking a deep breath in, feeling a stretch through the core. And exhaling out. And that's it for today. Make sure you email Elena your favorite stretch we did. We did the rolling of the quads, we did the rolling of the inner thigh, knees to chest, and then we did a PNF hamstring stretch, followed by dragon, lizard, and pigeon. All 3 fairly intense. So go ahead and email her that. We'll put her email in the comments. But glad to have you. We'll see you guys soon.